What's up guys, my name is Sitchmoner and today I'm going to give you 5 tips on how to get a job doing YouTube. Let's get into it. So to give you a little bit of background, although this channel is very new, I have been doing content creation that's YouTube, Instagram, Facebook content for about 6 years now, full time. Also, to preface this whole video, this is not necessarily building your own channel, but this is working for a company and producing content for that company through their social media platforms. Number 1 is don't wait for the company to create the position. Create the position yourself. If you notice that the company you work for, the company that you want to work for, isn't putting out the content that you think they should be, or the amount of content or the quality of content, the company could be unaware that there is this kind of lapse in content that they could have. I used to think a business was like very structured, like if there wasn't an opening for that position, then that position doesn't exist and won't exist until it happens. But really, companies are so fluid that you can go up to like a pretty big size company and be like, hey, I see that you guys are lacking in this certain aspect. Here's what I could do to help that. I think we could both benefit from, making this kind of content or hiring me or whatever. So that's tip number 1. If you see that they're lacking in content or the quality of the content and you think you could do better than what they're putting out, it's important for you to tell them because that benefits them as well as you. On to tip number 2. Tip number 2 is pretty self-explanatory, but it's hone your skills and give them something to watch. So basically you would want to make content that you would show them, kind of like a highlight reel of what you've done or what you can do. And I would probably cater that to whatever industry or whatever company that you're going for. For an example, if you want to get a job at Coke, you would create some sort of like highlight reel of this is how I would market Coke. This is who we're marketing to, like this is your demographic, this, that, and the other thing. Creating catered content would show them kind of a real world example on what you would do when you have that job, which I think is very important. As far as the hone your skills part of this, pretty self-explanatory. You should have the skills when going into it, especially if you're using tip 1, explaining to them where they lack as far as content goes. If you can't fill that hole of their content, then you're not really doing any favors for yourself or them. So you want to make sure that you have the skills to actually fulfill the position that you're trying to get. That comes with just, a lot of practice and stuff like that. There are plenty of resources out there. I actually just learned on YouTube. You don't necessarily need to go to a university or anything to get these kind of skills. There's a ton of free content out there that'll get you all the skills you need to fill a position like this. All right, that's tip number 2. Let's move on to tip number 3. Tip number 3 is showing them that you have the ability to find trends in social media. To go along with your skills of making the content, you also need to show them that you can find the right content to make. Now, how I do this is I go to like kind of the bigger channels and just kind of see what's trending on that platform. It'll change depending on which platform you're on, of course, but that's usually a pretty easy way to find out what's popular right now. I'm sure there are also websites that show kind of upcoming trends and stuff like that you could check out also. You also want to cater those to the company if you can. For example, if vlogging gets really big, and we use the Coke example from earlier, you could say that like, it might be a cool idea to make some content where we go to our factories and show how Coke is made or show how happy our workers are making Coke and whatever. So something like that, something catered to the company. Again, they'll find value in that. They'll like that you catered it to their company because they understand their company, they understand their industry, so they will like the content a lot better than if you're trying to get a job at Coke and you talked about the movie industry or whatever. So showing them that you have the ability to find the trends is just another proactive step to show that you are the right person for this position. So that's tip number 3. Let's move on to tip number 4. Okay, so tip number 4 is not a very fun one. It is be willing to not get paid that much when you start. Now, if you went to a university and you have a full education on this, then do your thing, go get your money. All things are good. But if you did what I did and learned everything on your own online without a degree, it'll be hard showing them your value when you don't have any previous experience. So you'll have to be willing at the beginning to kind of prove your worth. Yes, it kind of sucks, but hopefully eventually you'll get to a point where you could be like, hey, this project, and this project worked out really well for us. I think that shows that I'm a valuable part of the team and that I deserve to get paid more. So that's kind of the hope, is that you get to a point where you have something to leverage. So the most important thing is make sure you make the best content you can. Make sure you look at all the analytics of all the projects that you do so you have something to show later for it. I know for social media it's kind of hard to show some of the analytics because a view doesn't necessarily mean that that company made money. But view count, engagement, positivity towards the content is always good. You just have to show them your worth before they'll start shelling out a bunch of money. Is that a terrible way of saying it? You just have to show them your worth before they start giving you the big bucks, you know? There's no other way to say this. You just have to show your worth before they will put more money towards you. Anyway, that's tip number 4. Let's move on to the last and final tip, number 5. Okay, tip number 5 is to explain that being responsible for your own education gives you the drive to get the job done. Now, for those of you who went to school for this, your degree kind of says that. But if you did this all on your own, I think there's also value in taking the responsibility to just kind of do it yourself and to learn everything on your own account. That's something I tried to show when I got a job, was that, you know, although I don't have like professional experience or a degree in it, I took the proactive steps to actually get the knowledge to do the job. That'll show them that in the future, if there's anything extra you need to learn, that you will seek it out yourself and not necessarily need to be told to seek out that information. I think it's a great way to show that you have drive, determination, and the skill sets to kind of research on your own. Okay, I actually have one bonus tip, so we'll call this tip number 6. This was going to be my first job making content. And I talked about how, because it was my first time doing it, I would be malleable when it comes to the content I'm making. It shows them that I'm a blank slate and I could be put in whatever position they want me to take. So if they want me to do the camera work and the audio, that's something that I could do. Or if they just want me in camera work, I could also do that. If they just want me editing, I could also do that. It gives you the opportunity to show them that wherever you want this position to go, I could take it. I think that was a very important part of my interview, and I think that might be one of the reasons why I got picked for the job. So those are my tips on how to get a job creating content for a company. I hope they help you out in your ventures. If you used any of these tips, let me know in the comments below how it worked for you. And if you have any tips of your own, make sure you leave them down below so people could read those as well. I hope that you guys get your dream job, and I hope you do something you're passionate in. It really does make a difference. If you enjoyed this video and you like this kind of content, I encourage you to subscribe. I have a lot more content coming out soon that I think you guys will enjoy. So until then, see you next time.